And on the evening of day 360, I went straight back to chopping some more birch so that I can spend the next 100 days finishing this project in what will be part 2 of this building adventure. That's right, we are back at it again. Back in my Skyblock world, trying to finish this huge-ass project of an island I started building about 100 days ago in the previous episode. We are starting on the evening of day 361, which is just a little bit after where we left off last time. And I had just spent most of that day doing some manual tree chopping, so we can get straight back into watching me place some more slabs. I know. Exciting. Since this was the start of a new episode, I was feeling pretty optimistic, listening to some music, slabbing away, not realizing how many slabs were still ahead of me. And you know, sure, I was going through a lot of birch logs to make these slabs, which meant I pretty much constantly had to go back and farm more trees, kill some slimes on the way, and place some slabs. And some more slabs. And even more slabs. And finally, on day 370, I was done placing slabs on the entire second layer, well, apart from the places I couldn't reach. And I can tell you now that spending 10 in-game days chopping birch and placing slabs and forgetting the New Year's Eve of my world didn't feel that great. So at this point, I was like, this is stupid. I'm never gonna finish if I have to get all the birch manually. I need a tree farm. And so, I turned to the infinite wisdom on YouTube until I found a tutorial for a tree farm and a TnT duper, because there's no way I'm not gonna be duping the TnT. I just do not have the sand for that. And looking over the material list, I could tell that I was gonna need a few different bits and bobs. Most of it was fairly simple to collect. Either I already had the materials, or I could get them through villager trading, or my iron farm. The only 2 items that really worried me were the slime blocks and the honey blocks. Now, luckily for me, I knew slimes would spawn on the lower layers of my base, so even though it wasn't fast, I had a way to get the slime blocks I would need. Honey, on the other hand, requires bees, which is something I haven't gotten in my world yet. But it's actually fairly simple to get beehives to spawn. You just need some flowers next to some saplings. And then, when the sapling grows, it has a chance to spawn with a beehive. Now, this chance to get a beehive isn't very big, it's around 5%. But eventually, it happened, and I started making a holding pen for my bees. I don't know how many of you have been playing around with bees where there's void nearby, but they have a tendency to fly all the way down and get stuck down there. So, to prevent losing all my bees, they're gonna have to live like the villagers in a sealed-off room on the lower level of my base. Call it a luxury prison if you like. While waiting for my bees to collect some honey for me, I decided I was gonna take slime blocks off my list first. So I went down to the lower layers and started slaying every slime I could without flinging them into the void with my knockback 2 sword. And let me tell you, this was like the slowest possible way to collect slimes, so instead I figured out using a website called Chunkbase that I had 4 adjacent slime chunks right in the middle of my base, so I filled those in with my remaining birch slabs and made a super scuffed manual slime farm. But at least this meant I had my slime blocks in no time, and so by day 380 I had the slime I needed. Next up were the honey blocks. When I came back up to check on my bees, I realized I was gonna need 30 honey blocks. And for each honey block, you need 4 bottles of honey. So I knew I would have to breed up my bees and make some more hives for them to speed up this process. And even though I was slowly expanding my honey production, there was still a lot of waiting around. And since I thought it would be a waste to just leave my character AFK, I decided to do some minor tasks that would have to be done eventually anyways. Like filling some empty areas with grass and dirt, extending the area where I plan on having a villager trading hall in the future. I also ran into a wandering trader who sold me an acacia sapling. So now the only tree type I'm missing is the dark oak sapling. I also made sure to periodically visit my mason villagers and purchase as much quartz blocks as possible because I'm planning on putting the tree farm out next to my dragon egg temple that I built in like episode 7 or something. Anyways, on day 390, meaning 8 days later, I finally had enough honey blocks and it was time to build the farm. So I've already made a design for the building that goes around the farm, but the thing is, the building is gonna be made almost solely of quartz to fit with the style of the temple, but I simply don't have a way to get vast amount of quartz yet, so for now we'll just have to live with a platform of quartz, cause I really need this farm. Moving on, the farm I'm building is one by a guy named Dusty Dude, although I did have to tweak it a bit because the TnT Duper he uses needs a dead coral fan to work, and I don't know about you, but I don't see many coral reefs around. So instead I found a different duper by Iceberg Lettuce that somehow dupes TNT with note blocks and pistons. Wow. I also changed some of the mechanics in the middle of the machine because for some reason the piston underneath wasn't firing and I couldn't figure out what I did wrong. So instead of the torch and repeaters to send redstone signal down through, I reused the same system from my stone generators where an observer sees a wall that connects to a full block, aka whenever the tree grows. But I really do not recommend following my redstone because it's completely scuffed and half of the time I don't even know why it works. So instead you can find the links to the original tutorials in the description. Anyways, the farm was done by day 400 and it was finally time to use this beautiful piece of machinery. And so I farmed birch until I had about 20 stacks of logs. And just to put that in terms of slabs, 1 stack of logs is equal to 8 stacks of slabs, or 512 slabs, meaning 20 stacks is equal to about 10,240 slabs. Now this might sound like a lot of birch slabs, but this turned out to be nowhere near enough. I went back to the island on day 402 and it was time to place a whole bunch of slabs again. And so I placed slabs through day and night, and you know, everything was going pretty smoothly, besides from the slimes. They were pretty sticky. I don't know if that could even qualify as a joke. Anyways, I tried to keep the mob cap filled with small slimes, and this seemed to keep the slime population somewhat under control as long as not too many of them committed death to the void. And so by day 409, I ran out of slabs once again. Meaning I had placed around 10,000 slabs, which didn't even cover the entire next layer, so I was definitely gonna need a lot more birch. So this time, I emptied out 2 shulker boxes, which, if filled completely, would amount to about 27,000 slabs. Surely, this had to be enough, right? And so I went back to my tree farm and got farming. And even though it was a lot faster now, I thought to myself, this is also pretty dull. And boy, was I wrong about this as well, because farming these trees turned out to be one of the most deathly terrifying things I have done in a while. Well, how could that be, you might ask? Just watch this. Somehow, I jumped up a little too early when stopping the machine, and it flung me straight out over the void. Now, I was just sitting in my chair watching some YouTube on my second monitor, and out of the corner of my eye, I just suddenly see my Minecraft character plummeting towards its demise, carrying all of my netherite tools and armor. But luckily, I was wearing my elytra and I managed to save the situation by flying up to safety. Still, my heart was pounding and my hands were shaking so much I almost couldn't walk straight in game. So I kind of wish I'd filmed my reaction because I bet I looked pretty funny. Anyways, I was actually so shaken up that I decided I had had enough of this machine for now. And never before has the solid ground under my feet in the nether felt so good. Even so, I went back to the island to place some more slabs. But now that I was down at the layers where slime could spawn, I constantly had to deal with these stupid critters. The small ones, weren't that bad. But the big ones are super annoying. Not because I'm scared that they could hurt me, because even when I'm wearing my elytra, they don't really deal that much damage. No, the annoying thing is the knockback. Because if one of these green gooey blobs manages to sneak up on you, they can very easily knock you right off the edge, plummeting once again straight into the void. Now, of course, I can just fly back up with my elytra, we've just seen that, but that doesn't mean I don't feel the scare of falling into the void with all my hard-earned items on me. And after the heart-stopping event at the tree farm, I was also still pretty jumpy. Anyways, after getting knocked off a few times and collecting a heap extra slime in pure rage, the 4th layer was finished on day 423, which meant I had finally made it down to the last layer. But I only had enough slabs to fill half of that layer, and I had to go back to the farm and farm some more wood one last time. On the way to the farm, I noticed a wandering trader had wandered through my portal and was now stuck in the nether. And because he didn't have any useful traits, I chose violence. I then farmed some more wood, this time without incident, probably because every time I turned off the machine, I would count to 3 before touching my keyboard. And as I returned the 3rd time from the tree farm, I knew I had enough wood to finish. And on day 428, I placed the final slab. And if we can just take a look at my statistics, there are now somewhere close to 60,000 birch slabs placed in my base. That's a lot of slabs. And a lot of time. My time. My life. Wasted. On slabs. And so, because I was finally done, it was time to get organized because a lot of my items were now spread out in shulker boxes and random barrels, and I even had a whole heap of birch left over that I had to store somewhere. And this is when I found the acacia saplings that I had bought hours ago and almost forgotten completely. And this got me thinking. Originally, I wanted my chickens to have a pen made out of dark oak, but I don't think the chickens will mind if their pen is made out of acacia wood instead. And so, on day 430, I could finally also get rid of my chicken torture device after making them an appropriate pen. Beautiful. Now I'm actually gonna end the episode here after just 70 days because now I was gonna spend a bunch of time collecting stone and moss for the outer walls that are still missing on the lower levels. But I think I'd rather save that for the next episode that should also hopefully take us all the way to day 500, which I really want to do something special for now that I forgot New Year's Day in this episode. So to all of you who actually made it this far, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you in the next video.